Salam. One thing I would like to say is that there are a variety of ways to walk, but from where I stand, it's like heel striking compared to forefoot walking. Heel striking is bad for you. Forefoot walking compared to that is way better. But there are also other ways. So let's say heel striking, for example, is essentially the worst that we know of. Although we can be dumber and pull out even worse ways to walk, but we'll use that as a baseline low. So if you walk around on your heels, you're essentially hitting your heel, then you load up on your forefoot to take your next step, then that next step hits your heel, then you load up. So it's a two-step process of hitting the emergency brake, because the actual way you should stop is just by leaning your center of mass back. Let's say you're running really quickly and then you got to come to a stop. You just lean back like this as you're trying to slow down, still on your forefoot like this, and that will help slow you down. You're shifting your momentum behind your center of mass. So if I was shifting forward, I would fall. If I was shifting back, I would fall backwards. So if you're going forwards and you get to the position where you're falling backwards, that will reverse the energy in your body, so that momentum shifts towards breaking you down. So just that's like the actual brakes. Whereas hitting your heel is, I call it more like an emergency brake. So that's in in essence one of the main problems of heel striking. Um, so then the next step, so the next tier in walking, you might say, okay, well, how about a whole foot placement? So instead of heel striking or going forefoot, you just hit your whole foot down, which is in essence better than heel striking. But unfortunately, because of the way our feet are shaped, so you got your ankle, then you have an arch, and then you have your forefoot. To try and hit both points, your heel and your forefoot at the same time, to get like a whole foot slap, you kind of can't avoid hitting heel or forefoot one before the other. So it's not necessarily a synchronized both sides hit the floor at the same time. That's slightly better than heel striking, but it's still not good. It was not recommended. It's actually bad for you. And then there's another way to walk, which is essentially a forefoot landing and then hitting your heel. So it's kind of like the opposite of heel striking. We go heel, then forefoot. This would be you go forefoot, then heel. So it's kind of like, I would call it a lazy forefoot walk, because there are bad ways to do different techniques, and this would be a bad way to do a forefoot walk. So you just go forefoot on your step. As you land forefoot, then heel. This is like, imagine you're supposed to stay in your forefeet, but then you allow it to fall down to your heel. So essentially, you're failing the exercise, the technique. So your forefoot is good, and then you hit your heel down. That's a failure in the technique. So you've kind of like failed to hold your balance in a sense. And then, of course, the the best walk that I know is purely forefoot, where you're just walking around, engaged, all the way up to your neck even. So you're just like springy, move around. You got plenty to work with in terms of your muscles. They're highly engaged. They're ready to load up with energy and then release it for the next step. You quickly move around. So this is more like the ideal walk. But yeah, that's like the general split in sense of which walk is what. And to me, it's plain to understand that at the very least, I can confidently say that forefoot walking is way better than heel striking. Yeah, salam.